it up for Q&A afterwards. Do you need to share your screen for any portion of what you're going over?
I am going to need to share my screen for some slides. Yep.
All right. So, Ron, I'm going to give it to you, man. Take it away. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So good morning, everybody. The goal, as always, is to provide you as much value as we possibly can. That's what we're all doing here. So we're going to get going. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ron Lugashi with the Zamir Group, Keller Williams Village Square, at Ridgewood, New Jersey. We do have our own mega agent office in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. I've lectured over 500 times on buyer-related topics. I've been a productivity coach. I was on a family reunion panel. Done, I don't know, 12, 11? No, 12, 12 bolds. So it's always a pleasure to provide value as many opportunities as I can get. I always take them, and that's really what the goal is today, to provide you value. So here we go. We're going to talk buyer consultation. So I'm going to pull up my my slides here, and while I do that, going back to what David just mentioned or touched upon, many agents don't necessarily do buyer consultations. I would even say that the majority of our industry doesn't necessarily conduct buyer consultations. So my question to the audience, this is the participation portion of today, what prevents an agent from conducting a buyer consultation? What do we think?
Shy.
Yeah, nervous. Don't think it's going to provide value.
Just happy you get a lead and just want to go show them the home.
Rejection.
They
I
might not,
don't know what to say.
they might not have a presentation prepared.
I'm gonna go backwards. I can share with you that we all know exactly what to say. So do we not discuss the buying process every single day? Of course we do. And do we not talk about the market conditions every single day? Yeah, sure we do. So we know exactly what to say. We're going to get into that in the next 20, 30 minutes. And Raj, what was your response?
Sometimes you get a lead and they want to see a house.
You're excited. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you want to be the go and show, the jump and run agent. Yet I think you and me both know, Raj, that we've been there, done that, and it doesn't work. 99% of the time, the result we're looking for doesn't happen, right? It's just a complete waste of time if we don't take the time to pre-qualify and know how much time, energy, effort to invest in this prospect. And nowadays, half the prospects that I speak to, they're already working with another agent. So we really don't want to waste our time if they're already working with somebody else. And then I heard rejection in there. Listen, we're not a good fit to work with everybody. You have to understand that not everybody's going to be a good fit to work with us, and we're not going to be a good fit to work with everybody, and that's okay. But we have to take the time to discover that as well. So the buyer consultation is a good tool for that as well. Here's what I can share with you. There's a lot of justifications, excuses, and reasons not to do it. But for every single one of those, there's also an answer that cancels it out. There is no good reason, justification, or excuse not to do a buyer consultation. Yet what I can share with you is that, well, since we know that the majority of the industry is not conducting buyer consultations, well, just by doing one, you're better than the majority of the industry. You see how that works? So if 90% of agents aren't doing something and you do it, you're better than the majority of the industry already just by doing that one thing. Now, there's quite a few of those one things that you can do that the majority of the industry isn't doing to make you just a superior agent. We're going to mention a few of those throughout the presentation. Let's get into it. So I would like to start off with a quote. It's a Benjamin Franklin quote. Energy and persistence conquer all things. Now, how does that possibly relate to our line of work? What I'm going to ask you is, what I'm going to share with you is that we always have two options. And a lot of the experiences we have kind of put us at a crossroads. And we have to choose one of these two options. And why I say it that way is because we have a lot of types of experiences, and a lot of those experiences are not necessarily good ones. So a lot of them are frustrating ones, and we're probably gonna have more frustrating ones than we are successful ones, yet they are learning experiences. And we always have two options when we arrive at these experiences. We can either move on very quickly or at your own pace, or you can stop. And I can tell you what happens when you stop. Nothing. Nothing happens. So regardless of what you go through, it should not affect what happens next. Conversation you just had with one person should not affect the conversation with the next person, because the next person has no idea what happened before. Only you do. We're the ones that are holding ourselves back. So I would always recommend and encourage all agents to, regardless of what you experience, push along. All right. So let's talk about some of the benefits of the buyer consultation. And going back, I want to talk about one thing that we just mentioned. Again, by doing a buyer consultation makes you better than the majority of agents out there. So by just do one. Now, we're going to talk about structure in a few slides. It's real easy. You'll notice really, really quickly that you know exactly what to say. All right. So let's talk about some of the benefits, why we do buyer consultations, presentations, strategy sessions, whatever we want to call them. That's fine. There's a short version and there's a longer version. The short version is, it's in that top right corner. It increases the likelihood that buyers want to work with us. You see, what happens is when we do a buyer consultation, they're going to walk out of that meeting thinking, I don't want to work with anybody else. I want to work with this agent. So it definitely increases 100% that they're going to want to work with us compared to another agent. Now, the longer version is, well, it helps build rapport, trust, loyalty with the client. It allows us to set the expectations. Yes, it allows us to set the expectations. That's kind of important. It's only 2 words, but it might be maybe even the most important thing on there. What happens when we're not setting an expectation for another person, whether it be in personal or line or business? It doesn't really matter. Who's going to create the expectation? Not us. Either they're going to do it or somebody else in their sphere is going to do it. Now, what happens if they're setting their own expectations? Where is it normally? Is it normally like where it should be? Or is it maybe a little bit too high of an expectation? Where is it normally if they're setting their own expectations as to what should happen next? Well, it's usually high, and if we don't meet those high expectations, how do they feel? How do you feel when your expectations aren't met, when you had expectations and they weren't met? How do we feel as human beings?
Disappointed.
Yeah. Disappointed, frustrated, more likely to be upset, a lot of negative emotions, right? So whose job is it to set the expectations?
Ours.
Absolutely. It's our expectation. The better we are at setting expectations, the smoother the transaction will be. You see, if we have a client and that client thinks that, they're going to go out and they're going to find the perfect home, the perfect home right away, and they're going to submit an offer, and they're going to get accepted offer, and they're going to be able to close in time, and that doesn't happen, they're going to be upset. Now, whose job is it to set the expectation as to what to look forward to, what the market conditions are like, what the average is, how many offers we need to submit on average to get an offer accepted? That's ours. So we have to communicate that information to the client. And if we don't do that, again, they're going to set their own expectations, and then we're kind of setting ourselves up and them for failure. So let's not do that. Let's communicate. Let's set the expectation. Let's let them know what happens next. By the way, that's another thing that you can do in your business that will make you better than the majority of agents out there. I know it sounds like a small little thing. The majority of agents just aren't very skillful at doing it. Mr. and Miss, Mrs. Buyer, would it be helpful to you? At the end of every single conversation, I always told you what happens next. Would that be helpful to you? Why, yes. Why, yes, it would. And if you actually do that, you actually tell them always what happens next, because this buyer consultation, by the way, or that pre-qualification or that initial conversation that we have with the prospect, customer, consumer, client, whatever the situation may be, That's not the only time we need to repeat ourselves. We need to actually repeat ourselves constantly, always, with every single meeting, with every single conversation. We always need to tell them what happens next, because they're not going to remember everything that we say, right? So we always have to repeat ourselves, and just by telling them what happens next, you're better than the majority of agents out there as well. So let's keep going. We're going to educate them at the buying process. We're going to answer any questions they have. Emotions make them act. Logic makes them think. It's a bold law. For those of you that aren't KW, aren't familiar with the program, what is the program KW has? And this is a bold law. This is one of them. Now, what I mean by that is, I'm not the most emotional person in the world. Those of you that know me personally, you can concur. Yet, I do know that real estate agents don't say certain things enough. And some of those things are, I'm going to take good care of you. Trust me. I'm going to find you a home that your family is going to enjoy for years to come. So those are not necessarily words associated with logic. Those are emotional. Trust me is not, doesn't have any statistics, any numbers to it. I'm going to take good care of you. It's just an emotional statement, but people don't hear that enough. And that's what, when you're confused or you're being indecisive, sometimes we just want to hear that as human beings. Everything's going to be all right. So those are some emotional words that we can use in our language, because sometimes that's all human beings want to hear. And they want to know that you're going to take good care of them, and you're going to help them achieve what they're looking to achieve. And there's one thing that's not on here. We're also going to handle as many objections as we can during these conversations, presentations, consultations. So there's not an issue later. If we're able to handle up to 90% of the objections during this conversation, during this session, we're going to have a much more smooth transaction. So there's all kinds of things that come up, and some of those basic things is just what an offer looks like. Does the traditional buyer know what an offer looks like? Absolutely not. So it's a good time to review that with them. They don't know half of what they think they know, and that's really what they're going to think when they walk out of the meeting. You can go online, you can research until your face turns blue. There's no real good websites that can communicate with complete clarity what the buying process is absolutely like in New Jersey. They need us to help guide them, consult, advise them. That's really the approach that I like to take. I'm giving you all the information for you to make a good real estate decision. So I'm going to give you information, and then you're going to tell me how you want to proceed. I'm going to give you options. You're going to tell me how you want to proceed. I'm going to communicate strategy to you, and you're going to tell me how you want to proceed. Any questions so far? Comments, opinions, something to add, jokes?
I think we're good, man. I think
All right,
we're ready
let's
for
go
the role
next.
play. Yeah.
So, well, we're not getting to the role play just yet. There's we're going to get to the role play. But when it comes to buyer consultations, there's a few things that agents should be aware of, and we're going to talk about those things first before we get into the role play. And then when you hear the role play, you're going to hear these very same things in the role play. All right, guys. So let's talk about value proposition. What makes this so important? Why is value so important? Doesn't matter if you're a listing agent or a buyer's agent. Why is value proposition so important?
To show your value, like why should they hire you?
So
Yeah, it increases the likelihood that they work with us. It goes back to that same thing. So if we're not communicating value proposition, they're less likely to work with us because they just work with any other agent. Again, what does the public think? What do the consumers think when they hear real estate agent? What do they think? What's the first thought that jumps to their mind?
Somebody who makes a lot of money for nothing.
Yeah, they think that they're all the same, right? No, any real estate agent is the same. It doesn't matter which one I use. Well, it's our job to actually educate them differently. So we have to communicate value proposition to show that we're a little bit different, or much more different than the rest. And once we communicate value proposition, again, it increases the likelihood they work with us instead of somebody else. So we want to communicate value proposition in our pre-calls. We want to communicate value proposition in our buyer consultations. We want to communicate value proposition in every conversation that we have. So from a buyer perspective, this is going to tie in real nice in a second. You guys are going to see it on the next few slides, how it ties into the buyer consultation. But from a buyer agent perspective, what are some of the value propositions we can communicate to clients? Well, they're on the list in front of you, right? Expertise and knowledge and preview homes, obtained in multiple offer situations, over communication, negotiation skills, accommodation, vendor networks, off-market homes, preparation and guiding, understanding of local market. And what I found was that many agents actually know their value proposition. The challenge, the difficulty, the obstacles that agents have is not knowing their value proposition. Excuse me. It's actually in the communication of their value proposition. So how do we communicate value proposition? You'll hear me say it quite often. You'll even hear it in the role play. There's 3 different ways I communicate value proposition. Is this helpful? Is this a benefit to you? Is this a value to you? How does it sound in real life? Mr., Miss, Mrs. Buyer, would it be helpful to you if I saw the homes before you did? Mr., Miss, Mrs. Buyer, would it benefit you to work with an agent that can obtain multiple offer situations better than your traditional agent? Mr., Miss, Mrs. Buyer, would it be of value to you if at the end of every single conversation I told you what happens next? Yes, yes, yes. Right? Why would they answer anything different? So we're communicating value proposition throughout our conversations, and how it ties in with the buyer consultation is I'm going to show it to you on the next slide. So it's a real easy way to squeeze it in there, and the more value proposition we communicate in our buyer consultation, it's just going to make for an easy transition. So let's talk about the structure of a buyer consultation. Going back to what we were talking about before, a lot of agents, they think they might not know what to say in a buyer consultation, but they actually really do. It's not this long, overwhelming type of script. Now, the analogy I like to use is, well, we've all had to write essays in school at some point, and our teachers always asked us to create a certain structure in those essays. Well, I'm going to use that same structure. There's an intro, there's a closing, conclusion, and then there's a body. In that body, they want at least 3 paragraphs. Well, in our case, it's going to be buying process, market conditions, and needs analysis. And there's no particular order you need to put that in. As long as you're getting that in there, you're good to go. And then there you go. You just did a basic buyer consultation. So as long as you insert those things inside that conversation, that meeting, that presentation, that consultation, you're good to go. You did a buyer consultation. Now, as far as what to say, yeah, we know exactly what to say. Guys, like, to introduce yourself, you can introduce yourself. You can even do it before the actual presentation. You can also ask them to tell us a little bit more about themselves in the introduction. Great. You know, the market conditions, we talk about that every single day. Again, you can't give what you don't have, guys. If you don't know the market conditions, you can't communicate it. And if you don't know the buying process, you cannot communicate it. We cannot give what we don't have. So before the opportunity even presents itself, we might want to prepare as agents for those opportunities to increase the likelihood that they convert into pieces of business. So yes, we're going to discuss those 3 things. We're going to go for the close. Now, how does this structure tie in with this value proposition? Well, throughout the structure, we are going to communicate value throughout the presentation, and we're going to obtain yes, 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 yes. Is this a value to you? Does this benefit you? Is this helpful to you? Yes, 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 yes. What are we doing? What are we doing? We're obtaining compliance, we're obtaining yeses, and by the time you get to the close, work with me, hire me, choose me, it's an easier yes. Do you see how that works?
Yep.
Now, I could skip all of it and say, hey, work with me, hire me, choose me, sign this. Which one has a higher likelihood of conversion? Obviously, if we're communicating value proposition, it's an easier yes at the end. So they're more likely to work with us if we are communicating value proposition throughout our conversations. It could be initial conversation, actually it should be initial conversations, pre-qualification, buyer consultation, showings, and any further conversations, we're always communicating value. And we always have to remind them of everything, the buying process, the market conditions, of their motivations, right? That needs analysis is really, really important. When it comes to the actual needs analysis, it's not very long lately. It really depends on your product and your market. I don't know where some of the agents on the call today are, but in my market, there's very low inventory, there's very high demand. So that needs analysis is very short, because if you have a laundry list of non-negotiables most important to you, you're just not buying a home. Now, if you have a wealth of inventory, that needs analysis is going to be a little bit long, right? Because in our neck of the woods, if you have more than 2 non-negotiables, yeah, you're just not buying a home. Oh, okay, you want a basement and you want a garage. Okay, awesome, we're good. Like in your price range, there's only going to be 2-3 options. If you increase your geographic area, you might have a dozen options. There's really not that many options. I can really show all the available homes in 1 or 2 showings. So it's not like they can come in and say, here's a dozen non-negotiables, and now go find me the perfect house. So if you're in an area that has, or in a working with a product, some products have a lot more inventory. That has a wealth of inventory. Again, this conversation may take longer or shorter. So just keep that in mind. It's nice that they want 100 different things, but it's not realistic. And that's where we have to come in and say, hey, let me show you. Maybe just turn the computer around and show them the MLS. Say, hey, based on your criteria, you have exactly 0 homes to go see. So we have to bring them back down to reality. Anyways, so the pre-qualification, if you haven't done it yet, and you're going to do it in this conversation, generally, it's almost probably 99.9% of the time, I'm already pre-qualifying them before I even have this conversation with them. So the initial conversation, I'm having that generic pre-qual conversation. It's just that LP Mama, for those of you that weren't on one of the previous calls, I forget which call it was. We're going to pre-qualify them, and we're going to obtain information so that we know how much time, energy, and effort to invest in this particular client. Now, if somebody tells me that they're not ready, am I still having the presentation? Am I still having the consultation? That's a question I get asked by many, many agents. And the answer is, for me, is yes. So if they're only a year away, I'm still having the conversation with them. I'm still having the meeting with them. And in my mind, I'm having the conversation with them so that I'm top of mind when they are ready. So we're having this valuable conversation now, and of course, I'm staying in touch with them throughout, so that when they are ready, I'm the only one they're speaking to. So it's always a good idea to work on your pipeline, whether it be 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, or even 4 years away. You want to have a pipeline, because the stronger your pipeline, the stronger your business. Any questions? We're good on time. Any questions, guys?
So Larry had a question on IG. He said, what are 3 to 5 things you look for to make sure they're a good fit?
That's personal. I think that being realistic is definitely one of them. I think that personality types sometimes clash. If I'm not chasing every single type of personality, so if some of them seem a little bit much, what's the polite word other than not realistic? It's beyond that. It's just
Delusional.
yeah. Well, I didn't want to say it, right? But there's some personality types that we just are not a good fit, and you can just now there's a skill set. I'm going to add to that, Larry. There's a skill set that we didn't know it would benefit us as agents when we first got our licenses. But to identify different personality types is a skill set, and the harder thing to do is actually to accommodate the different personality types. So if you improve your skill in both identifying personality types and how to accommodate the different personality types, you will improve your conversion. Again, this is a numbers game. We improve our numbers, work less, make more, when we improve our skill set, when we improve our systems. So that's just one thing that is helpful. So definitely make sure that they're a good fit to work with us. Make sure that they're realistic. Make sure that that they're they're trusting you, because the foundation of any relationship is trust. And if you can't trust them and they can't trust you, then you don't have a relationship. Now, how do you get somebody to trust you? What comes beneath that? What comes before that? Imagine building, a 10-story building, and trust is the actual building. What's holding up the building?
Foundation.
Foundation.
Yeah, well, what do we call foundation? What comes before trust?
Poor.
Rapport.
I would say care.
Care. Mm.
Yeah, if you don't think that we care, you're never going to get to trust. You're never going to get to a relationship.
Mm.
There is no relationship without trust, and there's no trust without care. So I think that being authentic, or how you approach it, is important. You're going to hear a line in the buyer consultation right after we speak about market conditions that kind of speaks to that. So, any more questions before we get into a role play? Because we're getting there.
None here in the chat on my end. I think we're good. Let me just double check on that chat. Let me see here. Nope.
All right, good. That means I covered everything pretty well. All right, so I need Betty.
All right, Betty, I muted you, so you just need to unmute.
Yes.
And Ron, are you going to continue to share your screen?
Yeah,
Okay.
because okay.
No,
Here's
that's
something
fine.
here's something that we need to know about buyer consultations. There's no really right or wrong way to do it. If you watch 1,000 agents role play it, you'll see it done in 1,000 different ways. So you can imitate, copy, take from anything that you like from those. And of course, something that you don't like, don't worry about it. That's okay. But there's many agents that you'll notice if you watch many role plays, is that some will use visuals and some won't. Some it's mostly the agent talking, and some it's mostly the buyer talking. Some use the buyer guide as the actual presentation and go page by page. Some will just use a questionnaire and go down question by question. There's no right or wrong. It's how you want to structure it is how you structure it. It's whatever works best for you and your business, and that's okay. So just keep that in mind. So if you see something you like, go ahead, copy, imitate it, internalize it, make it your own. If you see something, here's something that you don't like, then don't worry about it. Now, in this role play, you're going to see that I use a visual slideshow. I've been using this visual slideshow for years. I haven't really changed it. Hence the screen that says Town Life, because we're not in Town Life anymore. We're actually in Dulles Square, but it's okay. It works, right? 80% of people are visual learners, and 17% are audio learners, and then the remaining 3% are emotional. So since the majority of the population is visual, then I have a visual slideshow. It just makes sense in my head, right? So let's get into it. Betty, the setting is, I've already pre-qualified Betty. I've already had that initial conversation with her, as that's the case with most people. And we already scheduled the appointment for the office. David asked me before we actually got on the call today, so how do we get them into the office? Well, when we're pre-qualifying them, we just ask. It's really that simple. It's not a complicated thing. I know that agents have challenges kind of getting to the buyer consultation, but I would ask those very same agents if they even asked for the buyer consultation. And it's a simple thing that comes at the end of the pre-qual. So after you had that initial conversation with them, hey, Betty, what I'd like to do now, like you, many other buyers found this helpful. We're going to meet for 10-15 minutes before we go out and see some homes in my office. It's really down the street from the 2 homes that I want to show you. We're going to speak about the buying process, discuss the market conditions, and answer any questions you might have. And then you're going to leave that 15-minute meeting feeling a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident with the buying process and market conditions. Would that be helpful to you? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Great. Great. So let's go ahead and meet on Saturday at 10 at the office, and then as soon as we're done, we'll go down the street and we'll see these 2 homes. Sounds great. Wonderful. Nice.
All right.
And that's really, it's a simple conversation. It doesn't have to be too complicated. I would just say ask. I think the majority of agents just don't ask, so they don't get to the actual meeting. And I have this question asked often because I have an advantage where my office is close to the areas where I generally sell homes. So a lot of agents maybe don't have that option. So what do? Well, you can have a buyer consultation anywhere. There's one clear reason why you want to have it in an office setting. You want to have it in an office setting because there's no distractions, right? And when somebody's sitting down, they're more likely to comply. They're more likely to say yes to anything that you're asking them to. So that's the clear benefit of having a sit down. Yet that doesn't mean don't have it. So if you can't have an office meeting for one reason or another, can you schedule it somewhere else? Yeah, at a different place. It doesn't matter if we're having it in another business, or it doesn't matter if we're having it in the actual house. It doesn't matter if we're having it in the car. As long as we're having the conversation, it's of value to you and the client. So yes, we're discussing the buying process. We're talking about the market conditions. We're doing the needs analysis. You're doing the buyer consultation on the go, I call it. That's fine. As long as it's better to have it than not have it. Just keep that in mind. All right. So the setting with Betty, our buyer Betty. We've already had the pre-qualification discussion. We've already scheduled the meeting. She's walking in. She sees this slideshow open. She has a few documents that are printed out on the table. And she's also received an email from me. That's another thing. Might be helpful to many agents. I've already emailed a copy of what an offer looks like and a buyer guide to her email for review. I'll tell you that the majority of clients actually never even review the documents. Only the analytical ones do. So it's a rare thing. So they'll usually walk in and they'll say no, but it's okay. I've already sent them that so they can review it. So because when's the first time that a traditional buyer sees what an offer looks like?
When they're submitting one.
Yep.
You like this house enough to submit an offer on it? Okay, great. Here, sign this legal document you've never seen before in your life. What happens next?
Then you have to go over the document with them.
Yeah, you know what? Let me review this. Let me look over it. I'll get back to you. Let my lawyer look over it. Days later, what happens to the house?
So
It's gone. Now, where was our responsibility in that?
During the consultation to go over the contract and everything, to let them
Yeah,
know.
so that's the one thing that I always ask agents to do is don't find fault. Find a way to be better. We have responsibility, we have DNA in everything that happens. Right? We're the common denominator in every experience that we have. So what can we say? What can we do that will improve our conversion? It's just a little thing. Well, if you actually handle the objection up front, then you wouldn't have the objection. That's what it is. It's an objection. So if we handle the objection up front, then it's a smoother transaction moving forward. Well, just keep that in mind. Handle as many objections as you can up front. Yeah.
And before you started, I don't know if you're sharing your screen right now. I don't see anything.
Oh, you don't?
So maybe stop sharing and then reshare because there's nothing on my side.
Yeah, I see the home buyer's
I see
guide.
his guide.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's on my end. There's something's wrong. Okay, fine. As long as you guys can see it, I'm gonna try to unpin you guys because I want people here on IG to see it. But keep going. We'll figure it out.
So Betty walks in. Betty, thanks for coming in today. I really do appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me today. I know that the most valuable thing that we have is our time. So I just want to thank you first off.
No, thank you.
And I do believe that you're going to get a lot of value out of today's conversation. And what I do want to communicate in today's conversation is I do want to communicate the buying process. I do want to discuss the market conditions, discover what you're looking for, so that you walk out here a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident with this thing called the buying process. Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah.
Great. Then let's get into it. So Betty, I sent you an email. Did you receive that email?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't have a chance to go over it. I mean, I knew we were meeting today, so.
Yeah, which is fine, when you look at that email, you'll find attached to it this document that I have also printed out right here in this folder. It's just what an offer looks like. I do want you to get familiar with it. What I do need you to know about the offers, especially here in New Jersey, you should feel very comfortable signing and submitting as many offers as you like. Here in New Jersey, it doesn't bind you, and you're not bound to anybody or anything by signing and submitting these offers. Actually, theoretically, we can submit a dozen offers and not be obligated to anybody or anything. The most important thing that we're communicating with the initial offer, just to get the ball rolling, just to get the discussion rolling, is right here on page 2 and page 3. It's your sales price that you're offering, your down payment, and right here on page 3, your closing date. So that's really what we're looking to communicate, just to get the ball rolling. So you should feel very comfortable, very confident signing and submitting offers, especially as we move along. You'll see why when we discuss the attorney review. Any questions so far?
Yeah, so I just have a question. Could I have my attorney look at this first before, because I don't want to sign anything until,
Yeah, you can definitely have your attorney review it. Between now and the time that we find a home, you have some time. What I will share with you is that this was created by attorneys. This was created by the state. All we're doing is just filling in the blanks. And as also we discuss further, you'll realize why the attorney, when you approach them, they're going to say there's no need, just have an executed agreement, and then I'll review it. So you'll discover that in the continuation of this conversation as to why they might respond that way.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Is it okay if we discuss the buying process, Betty?
Of course.
In a nutshell, what I like to do is I like to make it simple. What you see in front of you is just a simplification of the buying process. So yes, we found you the right home, the perfect home. We're going to enter phase 1, which is what's called attorney review, which is when your attorney will review the executed agreement, followed by the inspection period, followed by the mortgage contingency period. So it's really simplified here in front of you to 3 separate phases: the attorney review period, the inspection period, and the mortgage contingency period. Is it okay if we talk about that a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, sure. Everything seems self-explanatory, but 2 things that I'm concerned about are, I guess, the inspection period, and then what is this mortgage contingency period?
Great. So is it okay if we talk about that more in detail?
Of course.
Great, let's do it. So as you see on the slide, I've already answered your question, but we're going to talk about each individual thing in further detail. So let's talk about the attorney review period. Yes, we found you the right home, the perfect home, Betty. And this is at this point, we're going to provide the executed agreement to the attorneys. Now, this is what I need you to know about the attorney review period, Betty. In New Jersey, any party can cancel for any reason. Don't even need a reason to cancel. And that's also why I said before, you can feel comfortable to submit as many offers as you like, because before we actually even get an executed offer, all it takes to withdraw an offer is for me to call the other agent and say, hey, thanks, but no thanks. Once it gets executed, then the attorney needs to cancel it. But again, you can cancel for any reason up until the completion of this phase. So do you see how the buying process is a lot more pro-buyer than some other states?
Right. So you're saying that if we go out to showings and I see 3 houses and I submit offers on 2, but there's only one that I really like and they both get accepted, I can say I don't want the other house?
Theoretically, yeah, that's absolutely true, Betty. What I'm going to recommend is that we prioritize. So and that might happen if we go and we see 3 homes and you say, hey, I like this one the most, this one the second most, or this one the third. Like, I'm going to go based off of that. We're going to strategize based on how much you like these properties. So we're going to prioritize. Sounds good to you?
Sounds great.
All right. So let's continue with the attorney review period. So yeah, we're going to hire an attorney. Betty, do you know which attorney is going to be representing you in the transaction?
Yes, I do.
Okay, wonderful. Just make sure that they're a real estate attorney here in New Jersey, if they're out of state.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, well, the last thing we want is somebody who doesn't do this on a day-to-day basis, that we might find them in court. Maybe they're not the most responsive. Maybe they don't have the legal documents, necessary legal documents prepared and ready to go, so it delays things. The last thing we want is somebody to cancel on us. Now, remember what I just said before? The attorney review period, any party can cancel for any reason. Well, that includes the seller too. There's only one good reason why a seller might cancel. Can you guess what that is?
They get a better offer.
Absolutely, they get a better offer. So that does happen from time to time, especially in the environment that we're in. So if something is priced really, really well, even underpriced, and they get multiple offers, that might happen. We don't want that to happen after we found the right home, the perfect home. So what we're going to do is we're going to complete the attorney review period swiftly, so we're under contract. Because at that point, Betty, once we complete the attorney review period, the seller can't cancel, but you can for different reasons, for inspection and mortgage, and we're going to get into that in a moment.
Okay.
So how we do that, there's a legal document. It's called a rider. Once we have an executed agreement, the buyer attorney is typically the first one that sends the initial rider out. The rider is a legal document with a lot of clauses on it to protect you. That document is going to go back and forth several times, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 times, until we come to agreement on all terms and conditions with the other party, the seller, and that means we're going to complete attorney review by executing that final rider. Now, once we complete attorney review, we're going to enter the next phase, which is the inspection contingency period, which is what you were referring to a few minutes ago. Pretty self-explanatory. Yes, we're going to get a home inspector. That home inspector is going to give you a report, Betty. Once you get that report, you and me, we're going to review that report, and we're going to make a short list of the 5 to 8 or 3 to 5 top items that you would like to request seller address. We're going to send that list to your attorney. They're going to send it to the seller attorney. They're going to respond with to each individual item. So yes, we'll address it. No, we won't address it. We'll give you a credit or just a note to each individual item. It's a little bit of that back and forth. The goal is to come to agreement and get you to the finish line. So we're going to always keep in mind that we're looking to approach the finish line, and this is a negotiation, so we're looking for a win-win on this one. But as far as we know, the house that we're looking for has no issues until we find some. Once we find some, we'll get them addressed for you. Any questions about the inspection contingency period, Betty?
No.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I get a question asked often, and at this point now, I mentioned before the buying process in New Jersey is very pro-buyer, Betty. And one of the reasons is this. I didn't say anything about deposits. I didn't say anything about money exchanging hands, no consideration given to the other side. Nothing about that yet, right? So here in New Jersey, again, why I think it's more pro-buyer than any other state is that at this point, we're going to provide the additional deposit. Now, additional deposits due 10 days after completion of attorney review. Now, what that means is much of the time, we've already conducted the home inspection. We know what we're walking into. You should feel very comfortable providing your additional deposit. Yet a question I get asked often is, well, what if we've already provided the additional deposit and buyer and seller can't come to agreement on inspection contingency period? Well, buyer can back out without penalty, Betty.
Oh, okay.
So again, it's a very pro-buyer process. The inspection contingency is a protection that you have. That's probably the strongest protection throughout the transaction. So now we're not looking to cancel, and the additional deposit has nothing to do with the inspection, but we'll just understand that the buyer does have the ability to control what happens next year on the driver's seat. So you should feel comfortable providing that additional deposit. And once we finish the inspection contingency period, we're going to enter the final phase of the transaction, mortgage contingency period. So in that mortgage contingency period, yes, we're providing the deposit. Yes, we're going to order the appraisal. The appraisal is going to come out, provide the appraisal report to your lender. The lender will now provide you with what's called a mortgage commitment letter. On that mortgage commitment letter, I also like to call it a conditional loan approval, Betty. It's going to say at the very top, Betty, you're approved for this house, for this price. Give us these list of conditions, and we'll give you full loan approval. And the magic words, the clear to close. Once you've obtained those magic words from your lender, the clear to close, you can go ahead and schedule a closing day and time with your attorney, and you're going to be a homeowner.
Okay.
Now, here's what I need you to know, Ben. I said that very quickly. I said that very, very quickly, that whole process. I don't expect you to remember everything I just said. What I am going to share with you is that throughout the entire process, I will always tell you what happens next. Would that be helpful to you?
No, that is, yes. So I don't have to be guessing.
Wonderful. And if you have any questions about anything, you can always reach out to me, text me, call me, email me. I'm always very, very responsive. I always like to say if I don't answer in 2 minutes, then something happened.
Okay. Now I do have another question. I mean, I don't know if we went over this yet, but I heard now like the buyers have to pay some commission, and what's that about?
So here's what I'll share with you, Betty. Yes, the laws have changed since August 1st. Yet we do more buyers. Our team does more buyers than anybody else in the entire MLS.
Right.
And not one of those buyers has had to pay out of pocket.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of misconception and misperceptions out there. Yet within our offers, if you look at page 12, the bottom right, that's where we insert seller pays commission. So we're always going to insert that and request that the seller actually pay the buyer's agent commission, which means our buyers don't have to pay it.
Okay,
So we're always going to include that in our offer. Sounds good?
sounds great.
Wonderful. Any other questions? Just let me know. But is it okay if we move forward and speak about a little bit about the market conditions, Betty?
Of course.
Wonderful. So let's talk about the market conditions. Betty, do you know the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market?
Not, I mean, I would think a seller's market means it's favor for the seller and a buyer's market would favor the buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we're in a funny market. And what I mean is you're absolutely right. So in a seller's market, there's low inventory, which is a key indicator, and it's actually what we have now. And the sellers are getting what they're asking for and even more sometimes. And in a buyer's market, there's a wealth of inventory. Buyers have more leverage to negotiate. Yet I say it's a funny market because there's always two types of product, buddy. See, the one type of product is always, it's about 80% of any inventory in any particular town. It's the overpriced, and they're all overpriced by different amounts. Some are 10,000, some are $1 million, believe it or not. And then the other product is the remaining 20% of the inventory in any given market, and that's the priced correctly or even underpriced. Now, Betty, do you know which home is the one that you're walking into at any given home? Would you know if it's an overpriced or priced correctly type of home?
No, I mean, I
That's
guess by
exactly
looking at it, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know. I guess that's why I need you.
exactly, and that's what I'm here for. See, Betty, every single home that we walk into, I'm going to tell you not what you're willing to pay, what somebody else is willing to pay. Would that be of value to you?
Yes, but I don't want to pay over. Like I'm not going to pay over for a house. That's not worth it.
Well,
So,
what's it worth to you and what's worth to somebody else are two different things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the information, and you're going to tell me what you'd like to do moving forward. I'm not going to sell you anything.
okay.
Um, Leading to my next question is, Betty, do you know what the difference is between a salesperson and a consultant?
The salesperson is just looking to sell. A consultant, I guess, is the person that's going to educate their client.
Yeah, absolutely. And which one would you prefer?
A consultant.
Yeah, and that's the approach that I like to take, Betty. Betty,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna sell you anything. I'm going to give you a wealth of information. I'm going to communicate strategy to you. I'm going to communicate options to you, and then you're going to tell me what happens next. Would that benefit you?
Yes, definitely.
That's exactly what I'm going to do then. Betty, is it okay if we talk just for a moment about open houses and for sale by owners?
Yes.
Great. So I am in touch with quite a few for sale by owners. I do have the ability to present to you properties that are also coming soon on the market or an off market. Whatever presents itself to me, I'll always share that opportunity with you. Yet for sale by owners, they tend to be overpriced. Or if you walk into a listing and you speak to a listing agent, um, those sellers and those listing agents, if you walked into a home and let's just say they asked for 800,000. Um, and let's just say another buyer is only willing to pay 770, and that's the real market value of a home. Do you think that seller or that listing agent is going to push you towards that 800, or they're going to promote your best interest like I will and negotiate towards 770? Which one do you think they're going to do?
Probably push me toward the 800. They want
Yeah,
to get more.
exactly. And
Hmm.
that's why I always recommend working with an expert so that you don't overpay, because that's the last thing we want you to do. I don't want you to overpay. You don't want to overpay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is for every open house you go to, I'm going to have you sign in my name so that they can reach out to me for feedback. I'm going to
Okay.
ask you to do that for me. Could you do that?
Of course.
Great. And for sale by owners, if you see something online or if you see a sign, could you take a picture of it and text it to me, and then I'll go ahead and schedule it as normal.
Of course.
Yeah. And well, I shared with you before is the same here. Betty, you're not going to pay out of pocket for a commission. If I can't negotiate my own commission with a for sale by owner, I guess I'm not that good.
Okay.
All right. Okay, very good. So pre-approval, we spoke a little bit on the phone about what you were looking for. You mentioned that you were pre-approved with Bank of America. You were looking for a $700,000 home. You were looking to put down 10%. You wanted to move your family to a to a good school district that has transportation to New York City. You needed at least 3-bed and 2 full bath. You can't have less than 2 full bath. And you definitely wanted a sizable yard and a basement. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Great. And the pre-approval letter, would it be helpful to you if I shared some other contacts with you so you can shop around? You can definitely use your existing pre-approval letter, but if you can get better fees, better rates, and better service, would that benefit you?
Yeah, I could be open to that.
Okay, so as soon as we're done here, I'll text you some top recommendations that'll take very good care of you. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. So in regards to what you were looking for, you mentioned a sizable yard. What does that look like?
Well, I mean, I just want to have enough room to put like a fire pit and, just have like a swing set, some room for the kids so we can have, like a little park in the back.
Perfect. Well, the majority of yards I'll share with you here.
Hmm.
In our neck of the woods, we'll have enough room for a fire pit and a swing set, so you should be good. You also mentioned that you work from home, so you needed a
Yes.
space for that. I mean, what does that look like? Is the basement okay, or do you need your on a
Yes.
separate room?
Yes, if the basement, is finished, that would be awesome. But if not, I can. And, I said 3 bedrooms, but if there's a 4th bedroom that could be, turned into a den or something like that, into an office space, I would really enjoy that.
That sounds very realistic. At 700,000, 3-bed, 2-bath, with a basement. Yet in many of these towns, depending on which one we happen to look at homes in, some of them may need some cosmetic work at this price point. What type of cosmetic work are you not willing to do, and what type of cosmetic work are you willing to do?
I mean, like little things, like, maybe refreshing kitchen cabinet doors. I don't want like I have to build something or anything like that. Small things I can handle, but nothing, too big.
So
And
anything that
and then with the basement too, it has to be high because like my husband is 6'6", so we can't have like a low basement. That's not going to work.
okay, so anything that's lower than 7 feet, let's say, on a basement, and anything that needs too much work, let's call them gut jobs, we don't want to see them. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. So if we happen to be discussing a property that falls under those criteria, then I'll definitely communicate that to you. Okay?
Yes, I definitely would appreciate that because I don't want to waste my time, going to
No,
see something
no,
and yeah, and it
I
doesn't
definitely
work.
understand. I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste mine. I don't want you driving a half hour, 45 minutes each way just to be disappointed. I want you to feel that every appointment that we have, you're getting closer and closer to your goal, which is to be in a home that you're going to enjoy for many years to come. Okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, Betty, what I need you to know, first of all, do you have any questions about anything that we discussed?
No, I think everything is, pretty self-explanatory. And thank you for going over, the things that I did have concerns with.
Yeah, and of course, if you forgot to ask me a question, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'll always be able to answer that question. What I need you to also know is that I'm part of a team, and that we're always available to you. So with that, what does that look like? Well, Betty, if you have to come here tomorrow afternoon and I'm not available for one reason or another, I need you to know that we're still having that appointment. We're still having that showing. While I am going to be your contact, I'm going to be the face during the transaction that you'll be communicating with. I need you to know that I always have backup. I always have somebody that can accommodate that showing, that can accommodate you to a home inspection, that accommodate you to a walkthrough. Whatever is needed, I have a team behind me to help support us. Again, if I'm not there for one reason or not able to attend, Michael can be there. If Michael can't be there, then Tali can be there. If Tali can't be there, then Zora can be there. There's always somebody that can accommodate you. Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah, but I don't have to pay these people, do I?
No, it's all part of the whole process. You're basically hiring a team of agents.
Okay.
Listen, Betty, we didn't speak of what you do for a living. I think you mentioned. I know you mentioned your husband was an accountant. Tell
Yes.
me, are all accountants the same, or are some accountants better than others?
Well, I mean, there are some, he's the best, but yeah, some are
Yeah,
better
right.
than others.
And
But
it's just
nobody.
like that with real estate agents. You see, some real estate agents are just better than others. So I'm glad that in a weak moment you didn't hire a weak agent, and that we're talking now, because nobody sells more homes in the area than we do. So I'm glad that we found each other, and it'll benefit you moving forward for sure. So do you see the value in working with a top team in the area?
Yes, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
Now,
that'll be
let
great.
me ask you about this buyer's agency agreement that we signed. Say like we go out on a few homes or whatever, and then, I just decide that maybe I don't want to work with you anymore. What
That's
happens?
perfectly fine. Listen, Betty, I will share with you that first of all, at the bottom of this document, look at the um, right here on 4B.
Right.
At the second half of this sentence, it just says right here, you can cancel anytime you want within a 3-day period. Just text
Okay.
me, email me. Listen, I'm not forcing you anything. If you want to work with me, wonderful, and I hope you do. If you don't
Right.
want to work with me, that's fine. We'll shake hands, stay friends, go our separate ways. That's perfectly fine. You just have to let me know. So if I don't say what I do what I say. If you don't like how we work, if you don't like how things are looking, just let me know. I'll take this document, I'll rip it up, we'll shake hands, all good.
Okay. Sounds great. I look forward to working with you and your team.
Me as well. I'm looking forward to finding you a home that you're going to enjoy. Let's go house hunting.
Let's do it.
All right. We are exactly at 9:30, so sorry about that. But I think we got in what we wanted to get in.
I think we did too. And I don't know if there are any questions here. If you guys do have any questions, throw them in the chat. Ron, do you have a couple minutes for some questions?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So Yolanda over on Instagram said, do you have any tips on meeting buyers at open houses and getting the buyers to have a consultation with you?
The conversations are easier now because we have more time. It's not like it's 70 to 80 groups anymore. Now it's close, if you price something right or even underprice it, you're going to have somewhere between, I don't know, 12 and 20 groups, depending on your price point, on your pricing strategy, etc. But you need to go for the close. So we're pre-qualifying. Our script is still a pre-qualification script. And at the end of that script is the appointment. We're going for the close. So we're going to schedule them for the following appointment. So we have to have that conversation. If we don't have that conversation, we're not communicating value throughout that conversation. Again, the results will vary. What I will share with you is that the majority of people walking into open houses are not ready, willing, and able. They're not ready, willing, and able. They're just, we have to discover what's preventing them from buying today. So you can also ask them straight up, hey, what's preventing you from buying today? They might actually answer it. They do actually answer it because in the moment they didn't expect the question to be asked, so they're more likely to answer honestly. So to go for the appointment, it's the same script that we kind of mentioned before. Would it be helpful to you? Right, we're providing value to them by having this conversation. Would it be value to you to discuss the buying process? Would it be helpful to you to talk about the market conditions? So it's just one of those transitions that we need to get to the end result, which is really the appointment. So I think that just asking for the appointment will get you the appointment. The majority of agents just don't ask. That's the answer to Yolanda's question. It's just ask the question. I think that yes, you can communicate value or communicate no value, but ultimately, if you don't ask the question, you won't get the answer.
Great answer. Michelle, how about you? I think I saw your hand go up. You have a question?
It was actually that, David. First of all, Ron, thank you so much. It seems like you definitely focus on getting the yeses so that they're used to saying it and ultimately give you a yes at the end. And I was just curious, in addition to that, can you just expand on ready, willing, and able buyers? When they go cold on you, what does your follow-up game look like?
So for me, it might look a little bit different than another agent. My focus is still 80-20, still using the Pareto rule. So for my top 20%, I'm still providing 80% of my time, effort, and energy. And so let's just say out of 10 potential buyers I have, the top 2 are getting 80% of my energy, my time, and then the other 8 are getting the remaining. So that's just the way I break it down. Because listen, if you have one buyer, you're going to focus 100% of your time, energy, and effort on that buyer. Same thing with 5 buyers because you have the time for it. But if you start getting into 30, 35, 40 leads that you need to follow up with, all of a sudden you better not be giving everybody equal time, effort, and energy, because it's not going to benefit you as an agent. So it comes down to strategy. So it really depends on where you are in your business. So if you have 3, 4, 5, just go ahead, just spend 100% of your time on them. But once your lead pipeline grows and grows and grows, it's just not doable anymore.
I appreciate that. And second part to my question is, you talked about expectations. How do you handle needy buyers? Like it's 9 o'clock at night and they're nervous or they're constantly texting you, trying to communicate with you. How do you handle that?
So again, everybody can handle it any which way they like. I accommodate it. So if you're texting me at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm answering you, and it doesn't matter if you're a client, a customer, or a friend. Like if I'm up, I'm answering the phone. And sometimes, believe it or not, yeah, somebody does text me at midnight, and I text right back, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't think you were awake." I'm like, no, if I'm awake, I'm going to answer you. So that's just me, right? It's my personality. That's the way I've been mentored. Zora's the same way, my rainmaker, my team leader. So if you call him any day or night, then he's going to answer you, and so will I. So that's just the way that I am. Now, it may or may not work for you. Again, not everybody's a good fit, but those that are needy, they do appreciate it. But I'm very accommodating. I'm very flexible. I'm always calm. It's just my personality. When things go sideways, and I'm usually the one that keeps everybody leveled. So it's just a matter of how you want to approach your business. I think the answer to that question. For me, I answer. If I'm awake, I'm answering you.
Don't text me at one. Don't text me at 1 in the morning.
And by the way, it's something that David always used to say. It doesn't matter what the conversation's about. It may be a difficult conversation, but the better we are at handling difficult conversations, the more successful we are going to be. So you still need to answer. Don't be an agent that because things are going sideways or not going your way or not as expected, don't respond. You need time to think, fine, but communicate. Hey, I'm in a meeting. Hey, I need to think about this and get back to you. Communicate. I think over communicating is better than not communicating at all.
I have a question from Matt. He wanted to know if you were willing to share your buyer consultation script.
I do all the time. The slideshow is what I share with people generally. The buyer consultation script, it's fairly simple. It's just the same thing I mentioned before. It's just cover the buying process, cover the needs analysis, and cover the market conditions. Introduce yourself, have them introduce themselves, tell them a little bit about themselves, and at the end, what we didn't cover is the hire me, choose me, work with me, because we're running out of time. We were actually in overtime, which I apologize for. But it's real simple to transition into that after you've obtained all the yeses. Then you say, here's what needs to happen next, right? We're setting the expectation. We just get into that conversation, but it's fairly straightforward. I don't have too many people that object. When they do object, you handle the objections. So it's just maybe a conversation for another time.
Let me ask you this, Ron. I record this. Are you okay with me sharing the recording?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always
Right.
my answers. There's actually probably dozens of recordings of me out there somewhere if you just type in my name. Especially Bergen County Partners does have a YouTube channel. Pretty sure that I'm on there quite a few times.
Okay, perfect. Because what I really encourage people to do, instead of sending over a script, I want them to go watch this again and have them write it out so they can actually learn it. So I'm going to share the video on my YouTube channel, and people can go back and watch it there. Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate that.
Now, David, if anybody asks, I'm going to share the presentation, the slideshow with you. If they want to utilize it, that's fine.
Okay.
And you can share it with them, because I don't
I'll
have
put that in the video description.
Emails, but I'm sure they have yours.
I'll put it in the video description, guys. So when I share the video, that's where the presentation will be. I'm going to give Amita the final word, and then I have something for you guys really quickly. I know we're over. We'll make it quick. Amita, where are you? There you go. Go ahead.
Thank you for this presentation, really helpful. I just have a question. When you have buyers to come in for consultation, and at the end of the consultation, they don't want to sign the buyer's agreement, how do you go about?
So that's what we mentioned. That's the part that we left out of that role play, because that was a basic role play. We're handling the objection. So It depends what the objection is, right? So Mr. Mrs. Buyer, do you see the value of working with our team? Yes, great. Would you like us to represent you in the transaction moving forward? Yes, great. Here's what I need to do. I need you to sign this document. It's an agent commitment letter saying that you're the client, I'm the agent, and I'm going to take good care of you. And then they might say, go ahead, Amina, what do they say?
No, I'm nervous. How about if we do it one property at a time?
Yeah, we can definitely do that, Amina. And if you look here in the bottom also, I want you to know, you can also cancel this agreement anytime. So if you don't like what I do, don't like what I say, any reason at all, you can just let me know. Text me, email me, send me a message via pigeon carrier, whichever way you want. You can go ahead and just let me know, and I'll take this document and I'll rip it up, and we'll go our separate ways. So do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I can do it
Great.
one property at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're supposed to say no, Amina.
Oh,
No,
no.
I still don't
Okay.
feel like
No, I still don't want to
okay.
sign it. No, I don't want to
Okay.
sign it.
I'll tell you what, Amina. This is what we'll do. We'll go ahead and type in the two addresses up here, up on this line, for today's showings. And at the end of the day today, we're going to call this a trial run. If you like what you see, we'll go ahead and sign the document after. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you just do it like two, like what if, because the open house, when the buyers come, they don't want to make that commitment because they want to keep going to the open houses. So they just want to make a commitment for two. So like, how do you, that's why I ask, because I want to coach them into coming and signing with me for more than two properties.
Well, it goes back to the presentation. So if we're handling objections now, again, don't find fault, find what you can do better. It's something that we're missing in our presentation. We missed something in our presentation. We're getting objections later. So we have to go back to our presentation, and I can go back to, hey, Amita, do you remember when we spoke about approaching listing agents and for sale by owners directly? What happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're more likely to overpay. I don't want you to overpay. You definitely don't want to overpay. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. And then, so in a weak moment, you might go directly to an open house, directly to a listing agent, or directly to a for sale banner, and you may very well overpay, and we don't want that happening. So that's something that I will prevent from happening. You see it, Amina? Again, I'm always going to provide you the information for you to make a good real estate decision.
Okay.
Do you see why it benefits you to work with us?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Go find you a home. So again, if there's something in your presentation that you left out, again, if one of your buyers went and bought directly from for sale by owner, don't find fault. Find what you can do better. You're the so that's, by the way, that's how I added it. I learned the hard way, right? I had buyers that went to directly for sale by owner, so I needed to include that in my presentations, in my conversations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure, guys.
Ron, quick final question. When you go through this presentation, soup to nuts, is it 30 minutes? How long does it take you typically?
So typically it's actually between 17 and 25 minutes, depending on the amount of questions they ask me. Some agents will spend more, depending on their presentations. It's okay. Some are 30 minutes, some are 40 minutes, some are an hour. It just depends how you structure your presentations. Me, it's mostly me talking, just educating them, obtaining yeses, obtaining compliances. And if they have any other questions, it takes a few extra minutes, but it's relatively quick.
Okay. And I have a final question. Before I get to that, though, I just want to prep everyone. I have something I want to cover quickly. Your cameras have to be on, though. So now that we're done with the role play, cameras on, or I'm going to have Kimberly kick you off. Just so you know, you got a couple minutes to get that done. So Ron, so let's just say it takes an hour to go through this. An hour doing this consultation is going to save you how much time and frustration, right?
Oh, there's dozens of hours. It's not even like 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours. Because the analogy that we always like to use is, well, would you rather show 30 homes or spend 30 minutes discovering what they're looking for? Because I have a lot of clients that text me addresses, and then I say, this isn't a good house for you because of X, Y, Z, and they're like, oh, okay. So if I know what they're looking for, it's going to save me and them a lot of time.
Love it.
So it's a question of, do you want to, you still arrive at the results you're looking for, but you may have to show them 50 houses. Or you can just show them what they're looking for and spend the extra time on other clients, or maybe even personal time. But it's up to you how you want to approach your business.
All right.
I'm never going to say you're right or wrong for how you run your business. I'm just going to say that there might be a